You are given 700,000 hours before you're dead. And this is how most people spend 24 of them. 8 hours sleeping, 8 hours working, 1 hour driving, 1 hour eating, 2 hours watching TV or playing games, and according to a recent survey, 3 hours of scrolling on your phone, leaving you with 1 hour of free time. Your time is valuable and constantly running out. In this video, I'm going to show you how these 4 simple changes to my phone have removed distractions from my life, doubled my productivity, and freed up my time to do the things that matter. But before we can reap the benefits of this distraction-free setup, we need to understand why we're so addicted to these things. Our brains are designed to seek out rewards. This is what drives us to do everything. And this driving force is known as dopamine. Every entertainment platform, retail store, marketing campaign is fighting for your attention by exploiting this basic instinct. And the social media giants have invested millions into developing psychological techniques and algorithms to make sure that you stay scrolling as long as possible, regardless of how this may affect your mental health. If we understand these tactics, we can address them one by one and take away the power our phones have over us, hopefully removing all of the pitfalls from our smartphones and retaining all of the benefits. Number 1. Put your toys away. In James Clear's Atomic Habits, he mentions that one of the biggest predictors of someone adopting a new habit is by changing their environment. If you want to cut down chocolate, stop putting it in your cupboards. If the option is taken away, we are far more likely to stick to the commitment. So for all of your distracting apps, just uninstall them. If you think this is too drastic, don't worry, you can always access these through the browser if you really need to. Then, on the home screen, make sure that you only have apps that you actively want to use. Remember, the goal is to turn your phone into a tool rather than a distraction. Number 2. Increase friction. While uninstalling the apps is a great first step, a lot of us are just going to relapse by exploiting the browser. And this is why I put up as many barriers as I can to stop myself accessing those distracting apps. 1 sec. This app has a feature which makes you wait a couple seconds before launching an app. This disrupts my autopilot and gives me a couple seconds to reconsider, should I really be scrolling? The answer is usually no. Web blocker. These apps let you block specific websites, keywords, and lets you set schedules for when the block should be active. And finally, app blocker. Now I'll admit, this is a little overkill. I use this to block both Chrome and the web blocker. I do this because sometimes these blockers just make it far too easy just to turn these blockers off, and this just gives me one extra barricade to stop me getting distracted. This might seem quite extreme for a lot of people, but I'm not a tyrant. I actually give myself a few windows where I'm allowed to watch YouTube. That's at lunch, evenings, and weekends. But I only let myself watch 1 hour a day. And this is quite important because when I went cold turkey, I would just find loopholes and just binge YouTube. Now that I have this 1 hour time limit, I tend to stick to it because I'm very conscious that I don't want to be wasting my time mindlessly scrolling. 3. Simplify. Have you ever noticed the similarities between your phone screen and the slot machine? The bright colors, the pretty images, and pulling down your screen to refresh the results? All of these features are very deliberate. Developers have pulled inspiration from one of the largest contributors to addiction in the world: gambling. Thankfully, there's a host of tools and apps to help us redesign our interface to make it less addictive. The most popular ones I've come across are the Minimalist Phone app, Niagara, Oasis, and Nova. These all have their pros and cons, and I experimented with all of these, and I suggest that you do the same to find something that works best for you. Minimalist is by far best all-in-one package. It has a very sleek, simple design. It has its own 1 sec feature, and actually makes you set a time limit for your scrolling session. But I found this dumbed my phone down too much and added friction to the apps that I wanted to use. Niagara is very sleek and efficient, and the app drawer is by far its most impressive feature. It makes it super easy to access any app, but I found this wasn't customizable enough for me and lacked the ability to add widgets. Oasis is actually a really nice in-between. It's got a very simple design, similar to Minimalist app, and if you scroll to the left, you actually have access to some inbuilt widgets, but this only comes with the Pro version. And just be aware that you only get its inbuilt widgets. You can't add any of your own. This is the trap that I fell into, so just be aware of that. So once I'd done my shopping around, I realized what I was looking for was a dumbed down phone, customability, and the ability to add widgets. This is when I landed on Nova. Number 4. Optimize. Whilst I found a lot of benefit from these other minimalist designs, I felt this unnecessary friction to using my helpful apps. I realized I was searching for a setup that not only stopped me getting distracted, but also encouraged me to be productive. I found that a lot of my productivity apps actually had these really cool widgets, which actually made them fun and easy to use. And this is how I landed on my current setup. This front page has my tasks and appointments at the center stage, and along to the right, all the tools I need to best serve my productivity apps. I've opted for a black and white theme, so no particular app is fighting for my attention. I only have apps on my home screen I actively want to use and don't consider a distraction. I changed my app drawer to feature as a list to remove that slot machine feel. Right in the center, I have my to-do list via the Todoist widget. Below, I have upcoming appointments using a third-party widget. Also have my daily steps, conveniently hiding Todoist distracting header. I have a Todoist and Notion quick add shortcut conveniently on the front page. If I scroll to the left, I have a note for my morning and evening routine. And if I scroll to the right, I have a quick view for my habits I'm trying to keep track of. Now, if you want this exact setup, it's time to whip out your phone and follow along. So I utilize 4 main apps to pull off the design. 4 apps are Nova, Palette, Wycons, Icon and change widget theme. First of all, you want to go download all of these apps. You want to go to your settings and set Nova as your default home app. From here, you can change all of the settings, can customize it to your heart's content, but I'd recommend working from a template. So this is when we go over the palette. So you can use palette to just scroll through different designs and you can actually download a Nova backup. But I'm just going to use the backup that I made earlier. I've actually left a link to this in the description. For some reason, palette won't let me upload this. Click backup and restore and just go and find the download that you've got. This hopefully should recognize the apps that you installed earlier. It should pretty much have the layout that I have. I found this background on the Wycons app. If you go to Wycons and you go over here, you can find the backgrounds. Now, I'm not going to go too specific in all the widgets I've got to the left and the right, but I do want to show off a couple things. So Wycons is simply just replacing all of your app images with its stock images that it has. There's a chance that you might have some apps that it doesn't cover, so you can actually go in and change and choose the logo that you want to represent it. That's how I made this little plus symbol. On top of that, I use this widget app to show off my calendar. I'm going to go in and show you the exact widget that I use, and I found it here. You can actually just edit the text, the font, and make it look the way that you want it. And that's pretty much everything that I did for my setup. With this setup, I feel like I finally have a supercomputer in my pocket, which acts as a tool in my life, instead of the attention-stealing, mind-numbing consumer portals these devices have become for many of us. Unfortunately, this phone setup may be useless to you without the 4 methods to overcome procrastination. Click on this video to find out how.